Let's just stick with that whole Porsche theme, huh? Welcome back to the Skill Builders Guild. Thanks again for watching. It's episode 37 of What's on the Bench Weekly. And if you're not familiar with What's on the Bench, it's where I take you through projects that I'm working on, some completed, some not completed, some not even started. Like this one today, we're looking at a very original 1980s Tamiya Porsche 959. This is the Paris to Dakar Rally Rothmans liveried 959. And this is a very vintage kit from Tamiya. It's one of their very earliest ones, in fact. The box says really interesting things on it like, as seen on TV. The nation's fastest growing sport. See, Mom, I always told you I was going to be a sports star. It's about as athletic as I'm gonna get. Anyway, this is a very vintage kit, and this came from the Showdog RC collection, and Showdog was a vast and varied collector, but mostly loved the Tamiya stuff. And I was able to purchase this kit and its unused brother, and that's over there, poking out just behind us there. We'll get to that one in a second, but this is what it looks like when it's complete. And this one has obviously been run and well loved because it is fairly beat. And there are ways to know that. By looking at the body, of course. The body shell is Lexan, but this was one of Tamiya's first Lexan bodies done in a blow mold. I'm not too familiar with the Lexan molding or fabricating process, but this is one of the most early examples of that new technology that gives for all of these really amazing undercuts. This is something that most bodies, and I'll lift it off here so we can get a better look at it, but this is one of the bodies where these underbits are really difficult to do. And it's pretty remarkable for the age of this body how much detail there is in it. And from what I understand, these are fairly rare and fairly expensive if you can find them. There are some pieces missing, of course. This was, like I said, well used. But for the most part, it's pretty complete. It's all in one piece. There are definitely cracks because obviously it was used a fair bit, and like see, there's a pretty major crack right there in the rear taillight section. But so many details for the age of this vehicle. It's pretty spectacular what they were able to accomplish. It's beat. It's well used. And I think that what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this to scavenge whatever pieces I need, hard body or like hard plastic bits like the mirrors and these rear tail lights and maybe even the wing to finish off my clean body. But before we get to the new body, let's look at the chassis itself. And right away, you're going to see some very old things. Here's one of the first Tamiya connectors. They're still working at getting through their initial order of 1 billion, but someday we'll get through them. The rear suspension has collapsed because it appears as if the springs have been removed completely. There's some airplane wire holding this rear suspension piece together, so that's always a good sign. This was a pretty unique kit at the time. Shaft-driven four-wheel drive, differentials front and rear, mechanical speed controller here. This may be before many of your time, but essentially how this works, there would be a servo here that would actuate this sort of rotating disc, and there's a brush that would connect with these metal tabs here, and that would signify how much throttle you were giving to the motor. It's an old process and one that should stay that way. It's old and not reliable. And certainly can get a bit dicey because it did need a massive heat sink on the front bumper here in order to dissipate all the heat that was being generated by the battery and this very complicated mechanical system, and this thing would get mega hot. I remember burning myself a number of times on that because it is no joke. Underneath this, let's pull this open so you get a good look at this. We've got a little metal tab there, and then a foam cover for a Tamiya. I believe this is a Technogold motor. Yeah, RX 540VZ Technogold motor. Only the finest Technogold motors go into Tamiya cars. Now we're gonna have to figure out some things here. There looks to be some crusty old silicone keeping some of these holes closed on the front diff. I don't see that on the rear diff. Yeah, that's essentially the car. And, you know, it was made for a 7.2 volt pack, so you need to find something that will sit in there from this modern era, which will be challenging to say the very least, I think. But there you go, sort of one of the first looks at one of the most original Tamiya cars out there, and one of the most highly sought after, because this has not been reread. There's been no reissue of this car at all, which is pretty cool to see. Now that you've seen that old one, here is a brand new one. This would be an all original. Let's zoom back out here a little bit. This would be an all original body with some minor cracks in it, and you can tell just by looking at it how thin it is. This is like 0.010. It is not thick and extremely fragile. And I'm really nervous about even painting this because like just even like taping it, I bet you'll be able to completely destroy it by pulling the tape off too quickly. So we might just put that away forever because it is pretty valuable at this stage, or we'll paint it. I don't know if I want to troll old Tamiya collectors by doing a paint job that isn't body art. That would be fun, but I think I'd also annoy a lot of people. So we may just, we're gonna have to see what to do with that later on. I'm not really too sure on that one yet. It is pretty amazing to have a completely original, complete driveline here with, look at this, like even this mechanical speed controller is in much better shape. It's a very clean example, and I'm pretty excited to have this in the collection. I am a big fan of old vintage Tamiya stuff, and it's pretty amazing to be able to have two of these, let alone one, in the collection. We'll probably end up scavenging whatever parts aren't on this complete one from the old one, and this is sort of where I need some viewer help. Should I get the old one up and running and leave the unused original shiny one as a shelf queen? I feel like I know the answer. This one should remain a shelf queen, and then we will paint up the body, and then it'll just sit on a shelf and look very pretty. It seems a shame to not get one of them running, at least, and I think the beat-on one is probably the wiser choice. And I mean, it's still pretty clean considering its age. It has been some repairs, as you can see. There is what appears to be, let's see if we can get a good look at that. It looks like some resin and fiberglass work has been done to that part to repair it. So who knows what state it's actually in. I'm pretty surprised, given the age, that everything still spins really nicely. And I think that's a real testament to the type of stuff that Showdog kept in his collection. He definitely had a lot of different parts, like I said, but some of them, it's obvious to me that he put a lot of care and a lot of effort into keeping these things running. So it's very cool to see that. And I'm pretty excited by this process, and it does tie into what we're doing in Class 1 for the Road to the Rockies, where we are building Porsches. And it's just so fun to see how Tamiya used to do it. It isn't very different from what they're doing today. I believe this car came out in 1986, and it's pretty amazing to see the amount of engineering and technology that went into something that old. Tamiya hasn't changed very much in that time. They're still using these connectors. I bet this plastic parts tree is worth a pretty penny. But we'll be using all of these parts on the fresh, clean body that we've got. I still got, where are they? There's the driver heads there. There's, wow, 3 wings. I've got 3 rear wings to build from, so that's pretty cool. All the original heads, the exhaust, the steering wheel bits, it's all there. It's all there. This is incredible. What do we got in this bag? Oh yes, there's the lenses for, what are those lenses for? Oh, that must be for inside the lens, which I don't know if we've got the light buckets. Maybe that's what's in this bit of stuff here. Yes, wow. Holy cow. Original 959 light buckets. Tell me that's not a great find. Holy cow. This is incredible. I'm really, 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 really excited about this one. Fresh. Still in the bag, block tires. Look at those wheels, they're so clean. Wow. That's extremely impressive. They're definitely dry. These tires have never been used. Have they even been glued on? Nope. They haven't been glued on the wheels, but look at that, so clean. This is outrageous. It's outrageous. Looks like we've got all the shock parts we need and some steering bonus parts as well, so it's really complete and ready to go. Yeah, got all the springs and drive shafts and even the fiberglass parts for the body mounts. So it's all there. Everything's there. Incredible. It's gonna be a fun project, which I don't have any time for. I'm really leaning towards keeping this as a shelf queen. It's just too beautiful and too pretty and too clean to ruin. This one's already been ruined. Let's get this one cleaned up, functional, and back out on the dirt where it belongs. Because I think that's the best idea, isn't it? Put a comment down below. Let me know if I'm crazy. Or if I'm even running down a fool's path to get this one up and running. But yeah, you know I'd love to hear from you. I love reading through your feedback, and I try to answer as many of those comments as I can. And if you're enjoying this video, you like this series, What's on the Bench, hit the like button. Subscribe if you haven't already, and ring that notification bell to get updates anytime there's a new video from the Scale Builders Guild. So there you go. I think that's going to do it. I just wanted to give you a nice, comprehensive look at these two cars. I mean, the fact that you go back all this time and they were still doing interiors in their cars, and they've got 2 drivers in there and they're all painted up and everything. It looks fantastic. It's so awesome to see. And I mean, these are old. They're vintage. And you know, they've seen a lot of love and a lot of life. And I want to just kind of continue down that path and give them a second chance, really. So we're going to have to do some digging to find this sticker sheet, because that's probably going to be quite difficult to find. And maybe a few new modern electronics, and we're going to get this one up and running. And I think that's going to be a really fun time. And if you're watching this one on the day it came out, I'm doing a live auction and giveaway on Whatnot. I will post a link down below so you can sign up for that. That's going around 9:30 p.m. Eastern tonight. So I hope you'll check that out. Lots of good stuff, including a giveaway for everybody. So there you go. Thanks so much for watching. See you again next week.